Hello and welcome to Pivotal People. Today's interview is with Nick Somani. Nick is the CEO and the founder of Cara Healthcare. Hello Nick, thank you very much for joining us at Pivotal People.
Thanks.
It's really interesting to get to know your story. What I'd like to do first of all is go right back to your roots. I want you to tell me where this all started. And then sort of work us through. So what did you do as a child and into your education?
Well, I grew up in a very loving family with two sisters, mum and dad. We were always outnumbered, but we didn't always let them win.
And two sisters would keep you in hand, I'm sure.
They certainly did, absolutely, yes. I don't think I always got the toys I wanted. I think playing with their Barbie dolls half the time. But yes, I think Dad and I always challenged the girls, very nicely. It was a lovely upbringing. It was really nice, growing up. And yes, I think talking about my child is important also to talk about where Mum and Dad came from, because that's a very inspiring story, and it's inspired my journey as well. Mum and Dad came from Africa. They were expelled from that country, and the UK kindly gave them a home. And Mum and Dad have always been very grateful, to have the UK as their home. They had to leave everything behind them, so their belongings, even their families, and they had to leave to come across here. It was very challenging times in those days, as they tell me the story. They didn't have a place to stay, they didn't have a roof over their heads, and they had to find work very quickly. Dad told me a story once where he was handling coal, and they used to be given PPE, gloves to wear, but they would have rips inside those, so it would burn him, but he couldn't complain back in those days. If he complained, he would lose his job. But that would pay for his fuel, for his heating, pay for his food on his table. So they went through very challenging times, and when we think about where we are now and the journey we travelled in, it's always nice to step back and think actually that journey must have been far more difficult than what we have encountered growing up. So Dad always knew he wanted to do more, and he wanted to have his own business and provide more, for his children. So he went and started his own ice cream business.
Oh wow!
So he manufactured ice cream.
For a child, that's an amazing job, isn't it?
It absolutely.
Free ice cream.
Absolutely was, yeah. So he started to manufacture and distribute ice cream to all the retailers out there. At a time when interest rate was about 15%, and we cry if it goes slightly above 5%. So very challenging times. But he used to take us to his ice cream factory, and it was from a very young age he instilled the work ethics of what hard work is, and what it's like to earn money. He used to take us to help him. He used to think we were helping him, but we're actually eating all the ice cream. There's always the 99 flake. I don't know if anyone ever remembers that, but that was my favourite, and we would eat one at the bottom of the box, which you would never find until a lot later.
Fantastic. So did you actually work for him as well? Yeah,
so Dad had an ice cream factory, so we did go there as children, And yes, we did help. Of course we did. That was the work ethic as a family. You'd go there during your summer breaks, you would go there during your school breaks, and you'd go and help them, and you would learn how to operate a till, for example, or how to put boxes away, things that children could do quite easily. But those memories are instilled in you for life, and those ethics are instilled in you for life. But that journey was quite a long journey with Dad, because he was very successful. He did really well. Mum and Dad were both working together, so they instilled in us what family working relationships should be like. Whilst Mum was raising us, she was working with Dad in that place. But we went away on holiday, and it was a point when we came back from holiday, there was an arson attack on my dad's factory. Goodness. He lost absolutely everything he'd worked for a decade. We came back to, and it's all in ashes.
Oh my goodness! And you were, at what sort of age were you children at the time?
I was about 7 or 8, so same age as what my daughter is at the moment. So very vivid memories of that, and it was a traumatic time for the family, having lost everything in life that you acquired over 10 years. So it was a difficult time. My dad always said, if you fall, you rise up again. I remember those times because it was a difficult 10-year period for us, because I remember going to school, for example, and you'd have to give £1 for your meals at that time, and I didn't have that £1, so I'd pretend to stand outside and say I wasn't hungry. So you remember those things, the hard times, and I think they were hard times for me, but actually my father and my mother were going through far harder times than I ever was. And so, you know, those memories stay with you. You know, they shape the person you are, or who I am today. But, you know, he never gave up. That's the key thing. You know, he went again, and he did exactly that, what he taught us. If you fall, you rise up again. And he went and did that, and he built a successful career as a postmaster for 25 years. And he took us again with him into work. We learned how to count stamps, how to count money.
Fantastic.
And that's where finances came into play for us. You know, we learned a lot about finance. Dad was an accountant by trade.
Right.
So, you know, those moments in life really change you as a person, but for the better, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So your education then, so you left school, and what did you decide to do when you left school?
So I went to become a pharmacist.
Yep.
I can't say I was the best child in school. I was probably one of the naughty ones. But I went to become a pharmacist.
Brilliant.
You know, at university. Yep. And then after I qualified, I went to work as a manager within a pharmacy for a period of 3 months. And then my career went on from there. I decided that the managerial role wasn't going to be me long term, and I wanted more. Having lived life in the way we had, a very loving upbringing, but it was difficult at times. I wanted more. I wanted to make sure we were doing well in life generally. So I went and started to do locum work after that as a locum pharmacist. I think that was my first learning curve, becoming a locum pharmacist, because you had to go out to different pharmacies, and you would have to within minutes serve patients, and you'd have to treat patients, but you didn't know the team, you didn't know the processes, you didn't even know how the system would work, so you wouldn't even know how to bring up a patient's name. I think those skill sets right from early onset were critical to my development. I had to make sure that in order to get the team on my side, I had to build relationships within 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I had to learn their systems within a couple of minutes. And I learned very quickly that the best way around this was to take a box of chocolates or a box of biscuits, and it eased tension automatically. But it was also getting in with the team. You know, as a pharmacist, you might think I have a degree and I'm a qualified pharmacist, so I know absolutely everything. But it's actually the life teachings and actually the career, those technicians who have worked for many, many years and have acquired, actually is far more valuable than you actually acquiring that degree, and in terms of the operations, you know, and how things could work. So I learned very quickly, if I worked well with the team, I would have a great team, and they'd go above and beyond their role, and they would basically make my life really easy. You know, they'd do more for me, they'd do my work for me pretty much. And so that was a really good part of, you know, learning curve for me, to learn actually what a team playing actually was, and how to quickly learn systems and processes.
And I think taking that through into what you're doing now as well, we all know, I mean, my career was as a care home manager, and without those amazing people that were at my team, there's no way I could have had the success I had. So it is very, very important to build those relationships, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that providing that good service is key. I remember at my time, locums would say, you know, the pay rate wasn't good enough. But what I found was that if you provided good service and you worked with a team, they would say to their area managers, we really like Nick, we'd like him to come back. And soon I found myself that actually I was being paid £10 more. I was able to get higher rates of pay because of the service I provided. It was never the other way around, asking for more money. It was actually, can we first instill confidence in what we do, in what I'm doing, and provide that service. So very early on I learned that by providing good service, good things come. And I found an opportunity actually through that whole process. And it was, I found that there was lots of locums around who would go to branches, but there wasn't any good quality locums. And there were lots of good quality people out there, but it was about trying to find them to place them into pharmacies. So I started my own recruitment agency.
Oh, wow.
From that point. And I was the main supplier to people like Boots,
Right.
to Lloyd's Pharmacy, and I supplied good quality locums to those branches. I gave them my insights as well of how to provide a good service.
Yeah.
And in turn, the people like Boots had long-term pharmacists with, who provided good quality service. So that was one of my first businesses that I started up.
Wow. And then how do you get from there to owning care homes?
There was a few steps till after that.
Okay.
I then, as I was doing my recruitment business, I then saw another opportunity. I found that there wasn't a accountancy firm that specialised in doing accountancy work for doctors, nurses, and pharmacists, and predominantly locums. We were all locums. Back then, we didn't have cloud systems, so we didn't have the Xero system that we have now, and the computer systems. We had computers, obviously, we had Excel, but we didn't have where we could see one person's work in another destination. So I developed a program, and this all stemmed from really my father's time, where he owned a post office. He taught us about accounts right from a very early onset. So, and in business, that came along with the job, having to learn finances. So I set up my own accountancy firm, providing specialised accountancy to doctors, nurses, and pharmacists. And that grew quite rapidly and quite successfully. So that was really interesting, and I was really excited. Finances always excited me, and how we could show people meaningful ways of doing well financially. And then after that, I went back into buying my first pharmacy after all those years.
Goodness.
Yeah. Lloyd's Pharmacy was selling some of their pharmacies that weren't operating very well.
Okay.
I think those things that don't operate very well always attract me. I think, and also we didn't have the finances to really buy a well-operated business or a well-operated organisation. So it was a small pharmacy. It wasn't operating very well. But I knew from my time, good service would turn that pharmacy business around. So I took it over, and within 3 months, we increased the business by sixfold.
By sixfold in 3 months?
In 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, I was overwhelmed. I remember taking the baskets of people signing up for the repeat prescriptions home. The baskets would be this high, and all my family would be helping me to sign all those patients up into the pharmacy.
Goodness.
And all because of good service.
Good service, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it was exciting times.
So following the pharmacy, do you still have the pharmacy now?
Still have the pharmacies.
Oh, wow.
Yes, still have the pharmacies within the group.
Yeah.
They supply our care homes at the
And
moment.
actually, pharmaceutical expertise in a care home is a massive plus.
Very valuable.
It is really, to have somebody leading with that skill set is a really good plus for any care home.
Especially when medication is actually one of the most important things a part of care home.
And it's one of the things that lets us down. The three things are always the staffing, the medication, and the care planning.
Yes. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if you get one of those fixed completely, then that helps enormously.
You're on your way.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So your first step into care homes, how did that happen?
So I was running the pharmacies, and then an opportunity was presented to me, and it was a beautiful home, actually in Cambridgeshire, Peterborough.
Okay. Yeah.
And I went there, and I was astonished. There was only 3 residents in the home.
Oh wow!
It was run by consultants. The nurses who were running it, the owners, they were nurses. They were under investigation with the NMC.
Okay.
I had an embargo.
Right.
And in today's world, the rating was inadequate.
Yeah.
And I quickly realised that this wasn't the home. The home was beautiful.
Yeah.
The building was beautiful, should I say. But the home is only made by the people in it, right? It's made a home by the people who operate it.
Yeah.
And I realised that service was not great within the home. But I didn't have the money, and neither did I have skills in care. So lenders would never lend me money to say, we can give you a care home, or we would support you in buying a care home. So I thought about this, took it away. They were in trouble. And I thought, how can I get my foot into the door? Because lenders won't lend to me. And I certainly didn't have the funds to buy this type of care home. So I presented a case to him, and I said to him, you're in trouble with the NMC, and you're in special measures by the bank. Yeah. I can buy your shares for £1, and I can walk in, and you could walk out. And he actually bought that. He said, He was in a lot of trouble and he wanted out immediately. And he said, okay, let's do it. I didn't know what I was letting myself in for. I thought pharmacy and care, well, I give patient care, it's exactly the same. We'll walk in and it'll be a doddle, right? I very quickly realised that the only similarity between the two professions is the 2-hour medication round. I saw a patient in the nursing home being lifted by an equipment. I said, well, why are they doing that to him? I said, oh, it's a hoist. So I quickly learned, obviously they were very different. But yes, I took over, for £1, and the next day the lenders turned up at the door.
Wow.
They said, who are you? I said, here's my keys, I'm the new owner of this home. I said, well, you can't be, because you can't just buy a care home like this, you need to put money in, and what experience do you have? I said, well, I'm a pharmacist, I have a great amount of experience, and they both looked at each other knowing that there's no similarities apart from medication, and I said, this just can't happen. Well, it was going through a special measures process anyway. So I said, I tried to invite them in for a cup of tea and biscuits. That didn't work. Tried to present them with flowers. That didn't work. They said, we're going to have to go away and see what steps we need to take. So I knew that gave me some time to prove myself. So I went out and found a manager for the home.
That's the key.
But this manager had a restriction on her license for medication.
Oh.
She was unfairly dismissed for a medication error which had occurred not during her time. A very lively person. So I said to her, look, I can retrain you in medication. I have all the skill sets to do that if you can train me in care. And she said, oh, absolutely, let's do that. And she trained me in absolutely everything. She was a lovely lady. She was one of those managers who'd walk around the corridor singing and dancing, would really uplift the environment of the home, the atmosphere and the well-being of our staff. And I learned everything about care from her. We went through from inadequate to turning the home into good. We increased the occupancy from 3 to full occupancy within 4 months, and we lifted the embargo, from the home.
Fantastic.
So learned a lot from her. Sadly, after she was lifted, restrictions were lifted from her NMC, she retired. And I became the registered manager of the home.
Wow.
So having lived that life for a good 10 years, running a home by myself, I instilled all the framework, the policies, the processes, my own care planning system, my own auditing system, all branded to Cara Healthcare.
Fantastic.
And it really taught us a lot, because at every inspection we would get a good rating. We'd tweak it again, and every local authority inspection we'd hit 98% or more or higher. And we really knew our model was working at that time, But it took 10 years to develop that. It took 10 years of working as a manager to really understand what it takes to run a care home.
And actually having done that role, having been a registered manager yourself, you've got a real understanding of your registered managers now and what their challenges are, haven't you?
Absolutely. I've lived that life. I've lived that journey. I know how difficult it is when you're in the home. It's quite challenging. It's quite easy for the quality person to come and say, you haven't done X, Y, and Z, or the operations to say, we're not performing. But actually living that life of the registered manager, you're juggling 20 tasks, with 2 hands. So it's quite a difficult task in itself. So it's about, now I don't work in the business, but I work on the business. And I always say that allows me to develop support for those managers where I've been and I've experienced it. So when they say it's difficult because, X, Y, and Z, I can say, I understand that. So what should we be doing to support you to make it a little bit better?
So how many homes have you got right now?
We have 10 homes now. So we bought our second and third, and then we bought 6 homes out of administration. Okay. So that was a big challenge last year. We added 8 homes to our group.
In 1 year?
In 1 year. Wow. So a very big challenge. But what we did was we gathered a team prior to taking the homes on. So that's what we did. We ensured that our quality team, our operations team were all there. These people I call our partners. They're never employees, because these are the individuals who give absolutely everything, and they are our partners in our business and in our homes. So yes, we expanded that team prior to expanding. And we've brought in some fantastic partners up in the northeast where we've added the 6 homes on, who are really assisting us to turn those homes around. It was in administration, it was losing money, but our Cara Healthcare team, within a matter of 3 months, made it financially stable. We gave a future to the 400 staff workforce that was working in those homes, and the 300 people that live there, residents that live there.
Fantastic.
And now we travel the journey of growth and putting the quality framework that Cara Healthcare has successfully done for many years through many different regions, and to putting into those homes that we've taken on board.
Fantastic. You must be incredibly proud. You should be incredibly proud of what you've achieved there. And do your family work with you now? You say you've got a 12-year-old?
I've got an 8-year-old.
8-year-old
daughter.
Yeah. A
5-year-old and a newborn.
That's right.
That came in. She arrived in December.
So at the age of 8, does she get to know what Dad does?
Absolutely. Yes. I learned very much by going to my dad's workplace. So I started to take Layla with me, to care homes so she can see. So at Christmas time, we gave everybody gifts. It's a really important time of the year to value, ensure the staff understand that, we do really value what they have done. So actually Layla came around with me, gifting absolutely everybody gifts. And she did a speech to say, thank you for the hard work.
Oh, and that would mean so much coming from your daughter.
It was, absolutely.
Sure.
And it was very touching for me because she really understood the hard work people do. She went round, with the care team to see what they do, and how they treat people. And that instills it into her to actually what care is really about and what kindness is about. So she started to learn actually, what we actually do.
Fantastic.
And giving is a really important thing, giving to her friends, giving to the people she loves, being kind to people she doesn't know. So that taught her all of those factors at Christmas time. So
the future for your business, first of all. I mean, your businesses, the future for your work-life future. How do you see that going? It's a bright, 2025. We're really excited about what 2025 is going to bring for Cara Healthcare. We've taken a fabulous team on of partners who will help us to travel that journey. So we launched the Cara Healthcare Training Academy. Fantastic.
But that is to make sure that we really empower our people. We carry out the training that's required. But also we recognise those people who are working within our organisation. So one of the things is we have people working with us for 13 years, but 20 years even prior to us taking over. We've had less than 1% turnover in our company.
That's amazing.
Yes, and we don't use any agency for nursing.
In any of the homes?
Any of the homes. Where the new homes come on board that are using it, we stamp it out completely. So for over 13 years, we haven't used agency in our homes. We haven't used it for nursing or for carers. We had people stay with us for long term. And that can't happen just because you pay them well. It's got to happen because there's a relationship there, because you look after them and you value them. The Cara Academy is set up particularly for that. So, we had a housekeeper who worked for the home for 20 years that we took over. She only worked for us for a short while, but she had in her locker a picture of the Shard. And she had always aspired to go there. That was a dream, to go there, one day with her sister and be able to afford dinner there. So on her 20-year work anniversary, we surprised her with a champagne dinner at the Shard to go with her sister, with an overnight stay and some spending money.
With an overnight stay in the Shard?
That's
everyone's dream, isn't it?
And spending money.
Wow.
And she was ecstatic. It was nice for the families, for the residents, for everyone to really appreciate the 20 years of hard work and effort she has placed. So it's truly about valuing everybody within the organisation. That's what Cara Academy is about. It's not just about the training, but it's really valuing the people that we have working with us. But it's about making dreams come true. And that's what Cara Healthcare does. It makes people's dreams come true.
What a wonderful thing to do. So the future of care, yes, there's a lot of negativity around at the moment, not negativity, there's a lot of challenges around for providers, certainly with the cost of care against the cost of local authority funding. And that squeeze is getting tighter and tighter. And I think in April we've got another 9% up and only about 4 or 5% local authority increases.
Absolutely.
How are you as an organisation going to cope with that squeeze?
And if you look at history, when interest rates were at 15%, we're at 5%.
Yeah.
If you look at, the history that I've talked about, providing good quality care, people are willing to pay for.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? It's a triangle.
Yeah.
It's a triangle of love, and that's what I call it.
Yeah.
If you provide good care, people, including the local authorities, are willing to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And in turn, as an organisation, we'll pay our staff really well.
Yeah.
And that triangle of love continues forever.
Okay. Yeah.
So it does not matter whether, they're going to increase it by 10%.
Yeah.
If they do that, that means the people who work for us will deservedly have an increase in pay.
Yeah.
We then have to showcase the good quality of service we're providing, the good quality of care, showcase to that local authorities, showcase that to the people who are funding the residents' care,
Yeah.
and try and get the best increase we can from that. And of course the businesses will have to take a small hit by it as well. But if it allows that triangle of love to continue, then so be it.
Thank you very much. That was really, really interesting. I'm sure our viewers will be inspired by it. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you, Tina. Thank you.